Mr. Antony. What is the current situation in your view right now as far as the intensified rescue and relief operations are concerned? NewsX is running a campaign where we are appealing to the governments and the industries to in fact come together and send heavy machinery to Wayanad. What would you say about this campaign, which essentially focus on bringing together the governments and the industry to send machinery to the affected and the most devastated areas?
Thank you. Thank you for having me in the show. And first of all, I would like to congratulate and commend NewsX for the terrific work you are doing and consolidating support for the victims in Wayanad. I am from Kerala myself, and this is one of Kerala's largest ever tragedies. It's a very bad situation in Kerala right now. It is the worst landslide the state ever had. At this moment, almost over 300 people have been killed, and thousands are missing. Multiple villages have completely gone underground, and rescue and relief operations are still going on. So it is very early to really say what stage we are in next. But at this moment, immediately the central government and the Prime Minister has taken stock of the situation. The Army, the Air Force, the NDRF, everybody are deployed there, and they are all working overtime to ensure that maximum number of people can be saved and the casualties could be limited, and we can support the people of Kerala in every manner. The government central government is completely taking stock of the situation and doing what we can. The armed forces and the NDRF is doing whatever possible, and they are all on the ground. And during these times, I really appreciate NewsX for what you're doing.
All right, sir. What do you also make of the rescue efforts that are presently on the ground? There is Army that has made a makeshift bridge in a record 31 hours. What is your entire assessment of this rescue and relief mission, which is in collaboration with all the teams that are present on the ground, whether it's Army or the NDRF, or whether it's all the other small independent groups that are coming at this point of time to help Kerala overcome this tragedy, which is one of the worst that has hit in a long time. Now, these rescue missions are being carried out, of course, in the wake of how many lives that have been lost so far?
See, immediately after, within a few hours since the tragedy happened, the government immediately started deploying our armed forces and our Air Force and the NDRF. There was a early warning system which told that there could be a possibility of landslides in that area and the possibility of very heavy rain in the western coast of Kerala. And therefore, even before in those areas, the NDRF, 8 battalions of NDRF are already deployed in this area. But tragically, things are much beyond what we all could even imagine. And at this moment, everybody are working together. It's a time for everybody to work together to ensure that we can uplift the people of Kerala. There are a large number of NGOs and a large number of many organizations. So right now, there are hundreds of organizations along with government bodies and armed forces, disaster personnel. They are all working on the ground to ensure that
recording in progress.
Maximum support can be given to the people. And there are a limited number of casualties. At this moment, more than 300 people have been confirmed to be killed. And it could be even higher. So we are all working 24/7 to ensure that there is minimum casualties and maximum number of people can be rescued.
Indeed, of course, because there are not just 1 or 2 teams that are there on the ground. Every day and every hour, the hourly updates actually give it a signal that more help is needed for the district and the entire state to recover from this. What importantly we need to understand is, do you think that the houses can be immediately allocated to the affected and to the grieving families from the Awas Yojana that are majorly affected in those areas where villages have been washed away, where the entire family has lost everything and everything is buried under the debris?
So there are many villages that have completely gone under mud after the landslide. And rehabilitation is a very important step. At this moment, our first priority is rescue and relief. But we will move to the rehabilitation stage later, and again, the central government will give whatever support we are capable of doing. This is not the first time this is happening in Kerala also, tragedies. In 2018, there was a flood which was said to be the worst flood in over 100 years. And again, there were many casualties and properties and assets worth almost 25,000 crores were damaged. The next year, again, it repeated. So there are lessons to be learned from all that. And now again, this is the biggest landslide the state of Kerala is seeing. And at this moment, our first priority is rescue and relief, where we save as many people as possible. And the rescued and the affected are all in various relief camps at this moment. But rehabilitation, yes, the government will do whatever it is possible to support them, including Awas Yojanas, including many government schemes where we can ensure that the people who are affected are rehabilitated in the best possible manner.
Mr. Antony, rescue and relief definitely backs the first priority in such crisis. At the same time, there are political visits that are being made right now in this view of the tragedy. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has also visited Wayanad with his sister and also met the grieving families and the victims of this tragedy. Do you think that this visit has sent the message that it intends to, or is it just appearing more of a token trip?
See, this is not a time for politics at all. This is the time for everybody to work together to ensure that people of Kerala get maximum support and we save as many people as possible and people's life can be brought back to normal. And at this moment, this is also not time for any kind of disaster tourism also. Right now, there are hundreds of organizations on the ground. There are armed forces on the ground. There are NDRF forces, personnel on the ground. There are Air Force personnel on the ground. There are police personnel on the ground. They are all working to ensure that people can be saved. And at this moment, people visiting there without any rule, just to, especially if they are going there with a large security cordons and hundreds of cameras, etc., without any rule, it actually slows down the process. So this is not the time for disaster tourism also. Mr. Rahul Gandhi yesterday was in Wayanad. He was an MP there for 5 years, where people there tell that he visited the constituency less than even wild animals coming to the constituency every year. So he was not a regular in that constituency at all. But he was a former MP, so it is understandable that he is visiting. But from all the reports that we are getting and everything we are hearing from there, his visit and his sister's visit is actually just slowing things down. They are not adding to any of these operations that is happening. And this is not a time for any politicization, and this is not a time for any disaster tourism.
Okay, sir, when it comes down to visiting the area which is heavily affected, how do you also view in this complete matter the gag order that has come by the Kerala government on barring the scientists to undertake the field visits to Wayanad and the disaster hit areas in the same periphery? How do you view this gag order that has now also created a bit of a controversy when it comes to the aftermath of the landslide?
See, a few days before this tragedy happened itself, as early as 2016, the early warning system project was set up in India under the Prime Minister's leadership. And 10 days before this tragedy, our early warning systems did detect that the western coast of Kerala could have abnormally high rains, heavy rains. And on the 18th, the 23rd, as well as the 25th, the central government and the did alert the state also that there could be very heavy rains and including the possibility of landslides, and something has to be done about it. And when the state was a little slow, the central government and the Home Ministry itself took the initiative and sent 8 or 9 battalions of NDRF forces to that part of Kerala. But this tragedy happened, and now it seems like there is a very blatant attempt by the state government to ensure that certain facts don't come out, which will show that there was a lapse from their side. So there was a very bizarre order a couple of days back where all the scientific organizations, science and technology organizations were barred from field trips or publishing any kind of reports in affected areas. But there was a lot of public backlash, and there was a lot of public backlash. Even the Bharatiya Janata Party also did strongly speak against this, and we brought it to public attention. And then, because of public pressure, in 1 or 2 days, they actually withdrawn that order. But all this shows that this is an attempt to prevent people from knowing actual facts. And this is not a time for that. This is a time where we need to transparently look into why these kind of situations are recurringly happening in Kerala. This is not the first tragedy. In 2018 and 19, there were massive floods. Now there are landslides. There are recurring landslides and floods. And all this, as many of it, is certainly avoidable. Certainly, many of the casualties could have been avoidable. For example, the early warning systems. We give it to states like Assam and Orissa every year. And the governments there do take it seriously. They evacuate many villages. Sometimes there had been an incident where the state of Orissa had evacuated over 1 lakh people over some days, when they got a message from us that there could be a massive flood-like situation, that they took the early warning systems very seriously. And so the damages were minimal, especially human lives. But Kerala, there was definitely a lapse. They didn't take our warning seriously. And now there are attempts to cover up. All that is deplorable. But this is not a time for politics, like the Bharatiya Janata Party keeps saying, our leadership keeps saying. This is not a time for politics at all from our side, our party side, our government side. We want to ensure that we can support the state in every manner. We can save as many lives as possible. We can reduce the damages as much as possible. And we can later rehabilitate and ensure that people can come back to normalcy also, overcoming the tragedy. So that is how.
Mr. Antony, one last thing that I would want to get your quick comment on, that in this entire district where the tragedy has given its footprints, do you think enough has been now made ensure to safeguard and rehabilitate the people of Wayanad, and especially those who have lost their entire families and their entire homes over there? There is something more that we can expect to be contributed there? Is enough being done? Because there are also minimal connection as far as recounting with the experience of the victims and survivors is concerned. At the state level or at the central level, do you think more needs to be done at this very moment, which is definitely feels like a colossal loss of a lot of people?
See, there is a tremendous loss. There have been loss of hundreds of lives, and alongside that, there have been tremendous loss of infrastructure, capacity building, capabilities, etc. The state and various organizations have built over time. So all that will, at this moment, we don't even know the magnitude of losses we have. We are, all the organizations there, they are involved in rescue and relief at this moment. But as I already mentioned earlier, in 2018, when the floods happened in certain parts of Kerala, later we came to evaluate that the losses in terms of capacity, infrastructure, etc., like properties, almost 25,000 plus crore of damages were there. Next year again something similar was there. So we at this moment don't even know what is the quantum of losses we have, or what is the damages. At this moment our priority is to save lives. But whatever support the central government can do, we are very sure that we will give it to the people of Kerala. We will help the state maximum rescue, relief and rehabilitation. We will support the state in every manner possible to rebuild and bring people's life to normalcy.
How do you have to respond on this recent notification that has been issued by the centre, which has declared 13 villages in the Wayanad district only and 10,000 square kilometer of area in Kerala alone as the eco-sensitive region? And especially this comes in the wake of the tragedy that has now wreaked havoc in the state of Kerala.
See, earlier there had been multiple reports, including the now famous Madhav Gadgil report, the Western Ghats Protection Council was there. And multiple of these reports at certain point of time have said that many of these areas in the Western Ghats, in the western coast of Kerala, are very ecologically sensitive areas. And if unscientific construction happen or sustainable mode of infrastructural development happens in these areas, very soon we could have disasters which will be very repetitive. But sadly, the So the Madhav Gadgil report came out in 2011. At that point of time, it was the UP government and center. It was the Congress government for 5 years in state. Later, the left government came. But none of them took any of this seriously, and it was overlooked. All these kind of unscientific and unsustainable construction and development kept on happening. And sadly, we are now seeing the after effects of all that. So now some of it are so now after this tragedy, the central government have decided that we have to step in, like we have to discuss with various stakeholders, but the state doesn't seem to be that interested in any of this. So now we are ensuring that there could be some checks and balances to ensure that any activities there are sustainable, so that certain kind of tragedies can be averted in future.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.